Man, we had a little bit of a harsh landing off that jump and the GoPro flew off. I don't have my retainer strap on it, but I caught it. So it looks like I barely took off, but I did land in a bit of a pocket. Here comes Numbskull. Yeah. Oh! Wow. Yeah. You took too much.
Since the beginning of time, mankind has wanted to see a pure head-to-head competition between Snowbike titans. This is Timbersled versus Yeti!
Welcome to Vernon Snowmax Season 5, Episode 19.
In this episode, we're looking at another official Timbersled versus Yeti head-to-head.
Yeah, so let's get started with jumps and drops for chimps like us. We're going to show you a little bit of footage. Andrew, these are literally the best jumps we've ever done.
As good as we got, folks.
They're not very impressive, but hey, let's take a look. Scorecard up on the screen. This is the scorecard that you and I came up with. It is simple and totally
irrelevant.
Yeah, doesn't matter. We have 4 criteria here. It's basically little jumps with soft landings or with firm landings, and then little drops with soft landings or firm landings. You'll notice there are no big jumps or big drops because we don't do those.
We're over 40.
Yeah.
We have to go to work on Monday.
That's right. And let's just throw all the scores up on the screen because it's very consistent. We went with 9s across the board for the Arrow and 8s across the board for the Yeti. So Andrew, the main thing is that ski just being out a little bit further
just more comfortable. Yeah, it's more confidence inspiring.
It's got to be like, we've never measured it, but it's at least 6 inches further out. The Yeti ski's like more under you, the Timbersled's more out there, and it just seems to be more comfortable when you're landing. Now there's one thing that we didn't talk about that I do like about the Yeti, and that's if you're coming in slow to a jump, which is what I'm usually doing, and then I scope it and I see what's going to happen. If I want to smash the gas, I'm going to get a faster track spool up on the Yeti because of that belt drive and just the efficiencies within that system. So I do appreciate that. But otherwise, I'd rather be jumping on the Timbersled by a small margin. Yeah. So the scores at the end of the day, 36 out of a top possible 40 for the Timbersled and 32 out of 40 or 80% for the Yeti. So both awesome. Yeah. We're really happy with them. All right, Andrew, it's time for part 2 of this Timbersled versus Yeti. We're rolling in cost of ownership here. So now we have 4 different criteria to throw up on the screen. The first one is ease of installation. Now, we don't do our own installs. We take it to Ian at Rider's Edge Suspension. He knows all things about snowbiking. He's really one of the pioneers from one of the shop's perspectives of who's carrying these things and who knows what's really going on. So what's interesting is that although we started off this year testing with the Camso, we lost access to our Camso. It ended up going off into another bike. But Ian says that is the easiest kit to install. Eh?
By far.
By far. Yeah. And then we have the Timbersled and then the Yeti. So whether it's your time and the cost of your time or the shop's time and how much you're paying them, we have a difference here. So we went with an 8 out of 10 for the Timbersled and a 6 out of 10 for the Yeti. Moving on to the next one, we have routine maintenance. So what did we have to do to the Timbersled this year for maintenance-wise? You're the guy who spins the wrenches.
Oil the chain and check the chain tension, and that was it.
Yeah, and for the bike, that's different because that's your that's other stuff.
Yeah, just the kit though. That's all we did.
You're very happy with that. You gave it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, and then there's the Yeti. So explain what you have to do after every ride to the Yeti and why it didn't get as good of a score. We went with an 8 out of 10.
I have to put a wrench on just about every bolt, make sure that things are tight, and I found almost every ride that there were loose bolts after the ride. So it wasn't one of those things that I could just say, I'll skip it this time. It was a constant. Now, we're talking 15, 20 minutes tops
pretty minor. But if
Yeah.
you didn't do it, things might have fallen apart in the backcountry, would have lost things,
Yeah.
and it could have turned to be quite bad. Let's move on to the next one. Worn or broken parts. So outside of warranty, what did we break? We only broke one thing.
This guy.
That guy. So that's the Timbersled spindle, the new one. We've heard that they've made that deliberately weak so that it will break or bend before your forks will. I think that's an explanation they made up after the fact, after these things started grenading, because some people have gone through 3 or 4 of these inside of the one season.
They're $500 a piece.
Yeah, and it's not warranty. So did it save everyone multiple sets of forks? No, it didn't. Now, people do break their forks, so they do mess up their frames, but this thing was made to break way too early, and ultimately we're not super happy about that. On the Yeti, we went through a lot more stuff. Now, This is going to sound like a laundry list, but the beautiful thing about it is it was all covered by warranty. So let's bring up a couple of the props here.
Sure.
You want this guy first?
Yeah.
It's not supposed to look like that now, is it?
No, and this was caused by the jack shaft at the top of the housing walking off center, not being in proper alignment, and then the belt walking off the gear, eating into this plastic, and you can see it was basically turning that plastic to butter.
Yeah, and this belt is one of the ones that kind of was cutting into that channel, and it's quite worn, and it could have broken. Mm-hmm. So we went through 2 covers, a couple belts, some bearings, and now it's fixed. It hasn't moved 1 iota.
It's not heating up. It's doing everything it's supposed to do. So we're pretty happy with that.
Good. Now, I did get a little bit off track with some of the awarding of points. So worn and broken parts, we went with 10 out of 10 for each. And then when it comes down to warranty, we went with a 5 out of 10 for the Timbersled and a 9 out of 10 for Yeti, because the Yeti guys looked after us. So when we were really concerned about what's going on with our little 129 SS sports car, we asked for a call. And we chatted with Josh from Yeti, and we had a good chat.
Yeah, it was.
We walked away from that. We were going in a little bit steamed, but we walked away from that really happy with what we were hearing. And ultimately, they did everything they said they were going to do, and that's really important. It's that follow through.
This stuff's all going to break. It's man-made, so it's inevitable that stuff is going to fail. The question is, what happens when it fails? And that's where Yeti really stepped up. And this kit was fixed and rolling and ready to go within a matter of days.
Right, so the only thing we're waiting on right now this is not the correct type of rotor. This is actually a Timbersled rotor. We're waiting for a Yeti rotor, and that will fix, we're told, will fix that brake problem. And in our last video, we talked about how we have kind of no brakes on the Yeti. And it's most of the time, it's not a big deal, but occasionally it's a very big deal. So we're waiting for that one final piece to come in, the properly heat-treated
That's right.
piece. So scores for this one, let's just looking down at the bottom here, we have a 33 out of a possible, 40 points. So 82%, 83% for the Arrow, and 33. It's a score, 83% of the possible points for the Yeti as well. So cost of ownership, according to this formula, these 2 bikes are equal. We have no winner.
Again, this is our formula. We don't really know what that means.
All right, so hey everybody, we hope you enjoyed this little segment. Not as much eye candy to look at with the bikes ripping around, but stay tuned. We have one more episode to shoot, and that is where we're going to talk about how we feel about these bikes. Which one will we choose? What are we going to do next year, or what we think we might do? And I think we have a few more insights to share that aren't so cookie cutter following this list. All right, thanks very much. Stay tuned.
Thank you.